Hello, darling. Are we doing it? Are we doing our best?
So we've been flapping about with technical things for the past 5 minutes because my laptop is being repaired. So I've got this thing that is made from recycled materials, looks a little bit like a toilet. I don't really know what I'm doing with it. I mean, I'm seeing lines on the app we're recording on, but I'm fully like expecting for this not to record. So we'll do our best today, but who's to say?
Yeah, obviously, listeners, we can only wholeheartedly apologise for the fact that you didn't have an episode last week. We do really hate to have to let you down, but Tommy's laptop was full of literal gremlins. And I also was full of gremlins.
Yeah, what's going on? We got into trying to sort out the technical issues. You seemed like you had some stuff going on. You're there in your frog hoodie.
I am. I feel like when the frog hoodie is on, it's like a really good signal for people to keep an appropriate distance. You know, they need to be aware of the fact that I am
Yeah.
liable to bite. I just feel like shit. I think, you know, we've already spoken. I think this last week has just really been in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I did host a really good cult catch up yesterday, but I felt it was really important there to talk about the fact that part of the reason that I have felt really unwell this week is because of Israel voting to impose the death sentence on Palestinians. It's a
Yeah.
discriminatory, awful policy from an apartheid state, and I almost feel like, obviously, you know, we are still the luckiest ones, and we have to remember that, but it's almost like a sort of psychological warfare now against anyone who supports Palestinian liberation. But the only thing I try to take from it is some of the actual writing or rhetoric or conversation that's actually happening within Israel now, and the fact that the support there for their regime is essentially really waning, because it's just not a good look for anyone to be popping champagne when you are supposed to be one of the most moral or ethical countries supposedly in the world. So I'm not going to lie, Instagram, I think, has been bricked for 5 days.
Oh, well done. That's amazing.
It is, but it's also, I have an online, pretty much Instagram based business, you know. So there's that terrible dance of I need to try to preserve and protect my mental health. You know, with everything happening in Lebanon as well, and they're absolutely up to the exact same shit there as they have been in Gaza. You know, there was some Irish UN peacekeepers that were murdered in Lebanon this week, and it's just, you know, it's why we're here. We're given space to talk about it. It's not okay, and therefore I am not okay, because I am not. You know, it's like that T-shirt I have. I refuse to sit and politely make house in the belly of, you know, this machine. It's just so yeah, I think that the conversation that kind of was emerging in my online community yesterday was like, yeah, I'm not alone in that, and it really helps other people for us to talk about it and to name it and be like, if I think someone put it best yesterday, they were like, if you are not disturbed right now, if you are not a disturbed person, I don't trust you.
I'm completely the same, and have been thinking about that a lot recently as well. And I mean, with this the death sentence law that was passed in Israel, I mean, the last time that we saw that was in Nazi Germany. You know, there being death penalty for one type of people and not the other, and that they're not able to see those parallels is absolutely mind bending to me. It's just horrendous.
Yeah, horrendous, absurd. If you have one shred of human empathy, I don't know how you could possibly be supportive of such an action by anything resembling what is supposed to be a modern government in the year 2026, you know? So yeah, I'll be completely honest. I haven't felt very well physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do just have to take a break, but obviously, yeah, it's difficult to know you need to do that and have to manage anything else as well. So I also wanted to mention, in the spirit of radical honesty, medication.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of stigma, especially sometimes in the, you know, spiritual spaces that I move in or work in. There's still stigma around being prescribed medication for helping to kind of manage the symptoms of anxiety, depression. It's not a one pill fix all sitch. I don't think there's anyone who's ever been medicated for their mental health who's like, do you know what I did? I just took these magic tablets and then I magically stopped giving a fuck about everything, right? I've been medicated for years, but I have had to go back to the doctor and be like, yeah, we're gonna need to have to up the ante here, lads, right? And this past week, after another conversation, I actually got prescribed some sleeping tablets,
Fantastic.
because I just can't sit awake at night. Or I did last night. I haven't slept.
Yeah, I'm also known to just sit there staring at the wall, watching YouTube videos about the most horrendous things going on in the world. Like, it's very rare for me to be asleep before 2 a.m. because also, I mean, with the nature of my work at the moment and the amount of stuff I'm prepping for, like, I haven't had a day off in so long. And I have this thing which I've heard is quite neurodivergent of getting getting home and feeling like I have to make up that me time whatever happens. So if I, this is also something with if I go out on a night out, I still have to have that me time when I get back. So if I get home at 3 in the morning, there's going to be 2 hours where I have to have that time, like no matter what happens. So if I get home at 3 in the morning, latest I'm getting to bed is 5. So I have to factor that in if I'm going to be socializing or working because I'm always going to have to make up that time. And it's ridiculous.
No, I'm the exact same. I'm the same, and it's like yesterday I actually did a cult catch up at 5 p.m. for a couple of hours because obviously usually doing 7 p.m. through till 9 p.m. That's it. I'm wired, right? Like the amount of time it takes for me these days, like you said, going out, any kind of social interaction to kind of decompress, process, and I think it is just because of the intensity of everything else that we're having to kind of move through or process at the moment as well. I mean, it's just too much. What is going on? I haven't, because I haven't been on Instagram for like 5 days. I keep looking at news. I do keep looking at like headlines, but Kev has said, yeah, you maybe need to stop doing that as well.
I mean, we have got the Thousand Madeleine flotilla thing. They're setting off now.
Oh, okay,
I'm not sure how
amazing.
many boats, but it is a pretty big group of boats setting sail from Marseille, I believe. And I think they started yesterday. So that's wonderful. Obviously, I mean, any time that there is an effort like that, I found that it really sparks sort of worldwide reaction, doesn't it? And it gets people out, it gets people talking, it gets people engaged again, and it also, it's so crazy that we have to think about things in terms of online metrics for the way that it sort of shifts the conversation, but it does tend to perform very well online, which then pushes people to think more about it and have more of those conversations. So that's going on now. That's one positive. I mean, you you know as well as I do how fucking heartbreaking it is when they do get intercepted. I mean, the last couple of times, just seeing them get so close and then be intercepted is just so difficult to watch. But they're just gonna have to keep doing it.
Yeah. And there needs to be more and more and more boats. And we need, we'll get to what it is that we want to talk about today, but, Palestinians haven't given up, right? People in Palestine, people in the Palestinian diaspora, right? All the people in Lebanon, people in the Lebanese diaspora, people in Iran, people in the Iranian diaspora, right? These people are still amplifying people's voices. They're still telling these stories. They're still, look at all the journalists who have been deliberately targeted and murdered, and they are still pulling on their blue vests, and they are still going out every day. And so we really, I don't think, have the fucking right at this point to simply say, oh well, we tried. I know that the overwhelm is real. There comes a point in the phase where the desensitization is absolutely deliberate. And so, like I said, if you're disturbed as well right now, then you're our kind of people. You are okay. Everyone else who is seemingly just going about their day to day, utterly unfazed.
Psychopaths. That's honestly all I can say at this point.
Thank you.
Like, if I'm meeting up with you and you're like, I'm doing great, everything's wonderful, and there's not even a a mention of some of the things that are because here's how I see it, right? Especially in sort of spiritual communities, the entire sort of ethos of spirituality is the idea of this interconnectedness.
Yes.
It's this idea that we're all connected, we're one organism, and when one part of that organism is damaged, the rest of that organism are sending resources to that part to heal it, right? That is the entire idea of spirituality, at least as far as I'm concerned. And to see these like deeply spiritual people just still continuing to sort of sit in the lotus position and preach about their sort of manifestation work class is just like wholly repugnant at this point.
Yeah, I've been having obviously quite a big reckoning in myself and in the nature of my work and what I offer, and just, I lump it all under the title sometimes of just white woman spirituality, and that's really unfair. It's way too much of a broad umbrella, but I think it does point to the fact that we developed a culture in Western wellness that it focuses so much on the individual and what
Yeah.
they can gain from it rather than what it is they can offer, like you said, to that greater whole, the great other, whatever we call it. It is the essential essence of most spiritual practice, as you said, is this understanding that we are all somehow fundamentally responsible to one another, and just the amount of division and the amount of hatred and the complete lack of awareness or empathy, I know, is something that a lot of other people listening are going to be wading through as well right now. So just a big in solidarity hug from me to you, Tommy Babes,
Yeah.
but also to everyone, from us to
Yeah.
everyone listening as well, because it's my only advice is just stop pretending, stop with the facade of I'm fine, because it'll harm you. And if you have to be the fucking bog witch buzzkill in the room, then so be it. Maybe we were born for this.
That's the thing. I just don't want to have people around me that constantly treat me like the fucking skunk at the garden party because I'm
Yeah.
not. Because I'm not there with jazz hands. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's that whole like, oh, here we go again. Oh, she's off again. Oh, what is it now? And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
like, yeah, cool, whatever, fine. Honestly, I'm so through giving a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
So, on that note, I'm so grateful for this, though. I really do have to say, of all the things that I know it's absolutely worth me dragging myself out of bed for at the moment, this is absolutely something that I do genuinely really enjoy. We have been getting incredible feedback. We've been getting some great comments and conversations kind of kicking off and happening in our Patreon. I also want to give a shout out right at the top to our new signups. You can join the Patreon for free. You will always get notified then of when we publish new episodes there. You can also listen, of course, on podcast. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube. And if you click like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, it obviously really helps us out. But I want to give a special shout out to those contributing to what needs to be the bottomless coffee pot.
Oh my God, yeah, especially right now.
Times are tough. It is tough out there. My Patreon's sort of taken a slight nosedive, and I know not to take it personally. 9 times out of 10, it is just my financial situation has changed. But if you can, we want to stay ad-free. We want to stay independent. So I just want to give a massive shout out to Emily, Maggie, Ant, Kate, and our Bev.
Oh.
Beverly. So just thank you so much from both of us for your support.
Thank you so much.
So today we decided to try to turn this train wreck around by focusing on things that give us life. Because last episode we did what goes in the bin. We put a lot of stuff in room 101. If you haven't had a listen to that episode back, go back and give it a go. It'll be the flip side to what we kind of want to sit with today. But we decided today we'd essentially both come up with 5 things that have actually got us feeling a little lit up, a little alive. Like this is something that we can absolutely hold on to, right?
Yeah, I have to make a confession. I found this really hard because I'm obviously
Oh my
just a bit
God!
of bitch. Did you as well?
Oh, yeah!
And it was partly because like I'm so used to talking about things that make me angry. But I think it's also like a lot of the things that I really love I talk about quite a lot in the podcast. I'm not going to come on here and be like, do you know what? I really like that Matt Bernstein. Or like, do you know what? Here are some really obscure goth bands that you definitely won't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it was really difficult to pick things that I've not spoken about before and that people will get as well.
I honestly, I had this exact conversation with Kev at about 7 a.m. when he found me still like laying on the couch in the fetal position watching my 14th episode of 48 Hours, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
just said to him, I was like, I honestly feel like we could just do another 5 episodes on shit that we don't, on the old 101 and the stuff that we're annoyed about.
But then it's literally just the franchise of the I've Had It podcast.
Well, exactly.
Which I'm fine with, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point we're like, look, I have had it, but occasionally, let's call them glimmers. That whole idea of there being a little light when we look for it. Those things that we do need to so hold on to, despite how phenomenally hard it was. I am not okay with how difficult it was for me to just name 5 things that spark joy.
Me too. Actually, quite shocking.
Yeah, I felt that was like I'm generally a pretty joyful person. My middle name is Joy, for fuck's sake, right? So, and to just feel like such a sad sack because you feel so powerlessness in the face of so much phenomenal fuckery right now. God, it's debilitating. But we did our best. Did you come up with a couple?
I got 5. The other thing
Okay, we're doing it.
I asked Jessamy and he made a list on my behalf, which I also want to read, which is quite funny because there's some really funny ones in there of things that I like from Jessamy's perspective.
I should have got
I should have got Robbie to do it as well.
Yeah, maybe we can do that and we'll share it in the next episode as well. Do you want to go first? What have you got? What is on the list of good stuff that has got us feeling a little litty?
So right out the gate, and this was the first thing that came to me when you even suggested this, lesbians. Have you got it as well? Is it on yours?
No, it should be, right? Like this is I know that we obviously don't have the visual medium for me like waving my arms around enthusiastically, fucking lesbians. Like that's it. Like enough said. I don't like I absolutely of course want to hear from you. But just that's it. Lesbians, full stop.
Lesbians.
No discussion. End of. Abso-fucking-lutely. Lesbians give me life.
Because, like, I mean, look, I don't want to rely on stereotypes. So what I will just say is things that I have noticed with my lesbian friends. I have never once had to guess when it comes to political leanings. It's always politics on the table. I'm never worrying that something's going to come up later. I'm sure there are some right-wing lesbians out there. I've just yet to come across them. And I have never had to talk about some bloke who is doing the bare minimum with lesbians.
Oh.
The amount of time I have spent comforting straight women over some man that I would sooner set on fire is insane.
How many of my exes would you set on fire?
All of them, but you're also not really that type of person.
I know, but you do. I mean, this is a thing that pisses me off a lot as well, right? Is the amount of absolute wasting of air that we do talking about, yeah, like you said, people who can do the bare minimum and lesbians having standards for themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Being focused on so much more than the pick-me shit of heteronormativity. Yeah, and of course, I think you've mentioned it before, just lesbians showing up at the times when they are needed the most, thinking especially about the AIDS crisis in cities like New York in the 80s and the 90s and being just the group in the LGBTQI community who are on the receiving end of, like you said, the most damaging stereotypes, the most, off-color and unnecessary kind of jokes, even though the contribution in terms of kind of queer rights, visibility, the movement is just built brick by brick by lesbians. And trans people and trans women of color. I actually feel a little light. The little flame came on. I had a little flicker then. Lesbians.
I've got a lot of friends and I've got very little time. And I'm really, really selective now if like somebody new is coming into my life. But when I start to get the friend crush, the moment that it is revealed to me that the person is a lesbian, we're already over the finish line. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a deciding factor.
Do you think a major then aspect of us becoming besties was the fact that you were the person that I decided to single out from the pack in order to sit down and share with that I probably might be absolutely probably a bit gay.
Yes, yes. Well, that was how we met. So I'm sure it
Yeah.
contributed. Yeah.
I remember, like, obviously we've talked about the fact I was sober in AA and I had a sponsor, and I remember kind of tentatively talking to my first sponsor and being like, yeah, so with this whole not suppressing all of my feelings and emotions with alcohol,
Mm.
I was starting to look at women and my relationship with women just a little bit differently, and I'm very confused about that. Still am. Don't know if I'm bi. Probably. Kev, I love you. Married. I have a whole ass husband. But yeah, it's a real journey. I'll say this for anyone else who maybe falls into the questioning. Even at this point, and even in their happy relationship, or it's a really complex thing. But I remember my first sponsor being like, "Yeah, maybe don't go to the queer meetings with like a few months sober and announce to everyone that you're a lesbian, or run around Berlin clubs trying to like make out with as many women as possible just to try and prove a fucking point. Maybe this is something that you need to sit with, and it's something that I continue to sit with. But being able to know that you were someone that I was pretty sure I could take that discomfort to.
Hmm. Well, I love that.
Well, you were amazing. You're just so gentle, and you're such a great listener, and you're
Oh,
so
bless you.
understanding. And you were still delighted for me when I married a man. So
Yeah, well, I mean, that man. I'm delighted that
yes.
it was that man. Adore that man.
Okay, top of my love and light list. Swearing,
Swearing. Oh, love that. Yeah, yeah.
swearing, profanity, cussing, right?
Who is it? Who is it in the cult that cannot stop swearing? That one.
Rachel.
Oh
Sweary
my god!
Rachel.
But some of the things that she says is so funny. What does she call people? She calls people like knob cheese and things like that.
Yeah, Wank Stain, I think, is another really... basically, it was Rachel's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Rachel. So Rachel was on top form yesterday in
Yeah.
the cult, getting a lemon drizzle out of the oven and giving us a pretty constant kind of demonstration of some of the best use. And this is what I wanted to say. The reason why I love swearing is because I think there's something inherently creative
Mm.
about swearing. I think it adds real color and real flair to language and the ways that we express ourselves emotionally. And interestingly, obviously I'm super into symbolism. That's why I read tarot. There's symbolism in sound. So in English words that refer to light, for example, they start with GL, glitter, glimmer, gloss, sound symbolism. Swear words, in the way that they sound and the way that we use them, it's symbolic. And so it also creates class solidarity, which of course is another thing that gives me life. It's something that especially is considered lowbrow or working class, something that you might say to someone in the pub and it be received as a joke. If you said that to a member of parliament, it takes on an entirely new meaning, you know? So I am so here with my love for language around the kind of continually creative use of swearing, just to keep everything colourful, and also as a genuine emotional outlet. There's studies done in the fact that a good old swear is a form of pain management.
Mm. Hmm.
Right? For all of those right now at the wheel of the car or face down the duvet going, fuck! If you haven't let one of those fly for a little while, I 100% recommend it, right?
I completely agree.
The catharsis and the creativity of swearing is what I want to bring to the table first today.
Okay, love that. Love that.
Obviously, there's some variation in how rude certain words are. I know the US has a real problem with the C word. It rhymes with Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt is one. Um, I was going to say in Australia, for example, that is absolutely used in the day-to-day term of endearment. And in America, you might find yourself really in deep trouble. So obviously we have to be careful in how colourful and creative our choice of swear words are. But I've no problem with that one.
Yeah, no, neither do I. I know there are definitely people that see that one as sort of misogynistic. And but I've also heard it used in quite a sort of endearing way. Like I feel like Irish people use it in quite an endearing way as well
Yeah. So
sometimes.
here's the thing: if you ever need to kick back at someone about the misogyny about behind the word "see you next Tuesday," is that the word vagina comes from the Latin meaning sheath for a sword.
Oh my God.
Ew,
That is so
grim.
vile.
There is some argument that the "see you next Tuesday" comes from the Indian root kundi, meaning source of life, right? Like, so actually, it's a less misogynistic descriptive word in its etymology than vagina. You're welcome.
Wow. Wow. Okay, love that.
Although I don't think it would be particularly polite to call someone a big vagina either, but that's because all of the descriptive words for female genitalia are considered nasty, and there's a lot to be said about
Yeah.
that. But
Oh, 100%.
swearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else have you got, babes?
Okay, so little somethings. So basically that would, I think for most come under sort of little treat culture. But basically when I was a kid, apparently I used to say to my mum, Mummy, can I have a little something? And I still say it to Robbie all the time. I'm like, have we got any, like little somethings?
Just like, I don't know what it is that I want or need, but it's something.
I actually, and I want you to tell me what that could be. I want your creativity around that.
Well, yeah. What little somethings did you generally have on hand in the house as a kid? Is this little snacky culture, or is it just sort of like
It's little snacky culture, yeah. It's like, and then because then your mum would be like, "Well, you've got apples," and it's like that's not what I meant, and you know it,
that
you
is
know.
not no that whole like, oh, I'm hungry, we'll have some bread and butter then. No, I'm not hungry for bread and butter.
Yeah, because usually if you're asking for a little something, you're not actually hungry at all.
No.
Feeling
No, what?
snacky.
No, we're snacky. We need the sugar. My God, I needed the dopamine even then.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but also, I think as adults, we have got this whole thing now, this whole little treat culture. And we don't always have to buy shit to keep ourselves happy. My God, capitalism. But just that idea of, I mean, Twin Peaks, I think of Agent Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks being like, every day, give yourself a little treat, right? Just for no reason at all.
I just really wonder where I would be if I didn't have, free will and could say, right, fuck it, on the way to work today, we're going to Bramable's Donuts because otherwise, what is the point in life?
Exactly. Exactly.
Or
And
being somebody that's so completely affected by diet culture and second guesses every single thing that they eat, which, I really feel for people in that position. It couldn't be me.
no, I often think about the fact that, before we moved here, we lived with like a Tesco Express on the corner. It was like a 60-second walk from the house. Obviously, when you're sat there going, oh, little something. It was very easy, and the little something actually would be an entire box of Dairy Milk Tray or an entire box of Lindt chocolate balls, or so I was like, right, well, I'm getting away from that now, and I'm moving to the middle of fucking nowhere, and I have to get in the car and go for a drive. I don't, do I? My husband does, because I sit there now and go, Kev, have we got any? And so he's been very, very creative and has created something that we call wife mix in our house. Wife mix. Maybe Robbie can knock some up for you, right?
I
So
love the
what
sound of
Kev does is he takes a packet of like cashews, a pack of almonds, a pack of raisins. There has to be some fucking chocolate in there, right? So some of them like sort of chocolate covered biscuity balls, pours them all out into a bowl to make a sort of like trail mix and then fills various canisters and containers around the
That's
house.
such a good idea.
So for me, the perpetual grazer with the need, as I know you have as well, little somethings, right? It means that he doesn't always have to get in the car and drive to Lidl.
Yeah, and also there's some sort of healthy fats in there as well with the nuts, and as well there's some fruit in there with the dried raisins. Like that, that's such a good idea. But you're still getting a bit of the kick with the bits of chocolate in there. I love that.
Well, it was working really well until he realised that I was just picking out all of the
Picking out the
chocolate
chocolate,
bits,
I was gonna
and then
ask,
we were
yeah.
left with endless containers full of untouched nuts and fruit. So but yeah, absolutely, giving us life. And if anybody listening wants to share their little somethings, what it is that you like to go ferreting around for, whatever it may be, that helps to give you a little boost in the day that you're in, I'd absolutely love to hear it.
For me, it's crisps.
Oh yeah.
I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. I'm more into salty snacks. So for me, any kind of crisps, I can just like and if I get a big bag, there's no way that I've never been a person that can take a handful and put that in a bowl and then put the bag back.
No, that's not who we are.
No.
I have "go big or go home" tattooed on the back of my neck, and that comes down to snackies as well, right? Like, I moderation.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
her.
Who is she?
I weirdly, I've always been sweet. I've always been bar of chocolate. I've always been right, and recently, it has been crisps, chips, right? I've all about the salty, umami, crunchy.
But that paired with sweet as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, why not just do both? You're worth it, right?
Yeah.
To the point that in my efforts not to disturb Kev the other night when I was creeping around, I grabbed a multi-pack of crisps from the kitchen instead of rifling through them to find the ones I wanted. And then I didn't want to put them back because of the noise, so I put them in the top drawer of this chest of drawers that we have next to the bed. And so when he was rooting around looking for something the following day, he opened the top drawer and it was just full of a multi-pack of crisps, right? And he's just like, oh bless her.
Oh, that's so funny.
So yeah, I love that one, babe. I love that one. Okay.
What have you got next?
The Irish revival, or the Gaelic revival.
Ooh, love it.
So this is obviously something I think people who've been listening or, have engaged with my work at other places know that I'm super passionate about, because Ireland reclaiming its language, especially, is really tied to Ireland really reclaiming itself. People reclaiming their autonomy and their culture, having climbed out from under, British imperialism. So if you want to hear more about how they did that, you can go back and listen to episode 4, where I kind of talked about the Easter Uprising. We have the anniversary of that coming up on the 16th of April here. And I just love the fact that in Belfast, the part of Ireland still occupied by the British, at Queen's University, fuck off. But at the Queen's in Belfast, at the university there, they have seen a 227% increase in people wanting to sign up for Irish language-based courses. And the Irish language surviving as it did is nothing short of miraculous, but it is testament to the people not allowing that part of their identity to be taken from them. And so I am someone who there's a lot of discourse in Ireland at the moment around how we shouldn't get too misty-eyed about the big Celtic or Irish re-revival on the world stage, while glossing over some of the major social issues and the division that is happening in this country, of course. But I just love to see Irish film, music, even Irish topography and design really being something that is garnering attention the world over right now, because it's so deserved and it is so hard won. It really was fought for by the people, for the people. So seeing Ireland do very well economically, having stayed in the European Union, fuck you, Brexit, right? Like, seeing, you know, Killian Murphy and Hosier and Nicole Coughlan and just, you know, I'm just here for it because I, you know, as I mentioned in episode 4, I grew up in Ireland in the south during the Troubles, and sometimes even watching adverts here on the television that are completely in Gaeilge, that are just in Irish, makes me misty-eyed because it's something that I really didn't think that we would ever see, because it is now the opposite of what we would call a dead language. It is alive and it is kicking, and you have heard me say, I think Irish could be the language of the revolution.
I love this. I absolutely love it. I was just thinking about how you were saying, you know, that obviously Ireland did so well to stay in the EU, and now you've got Keir Starmer talking about trying to walk back Brexit in some way by strengthening relations with the EU, and it's just like, I mean, who would have
It's
thought
too
we'd
late.
end up
It's
here?
I love the fact that the EU literally just like, bye bitch.
It's too late to apologize.
Yeah, it's too
It's too
late to
late.
apologize. Yeah, honestly, it's like you made your bed, now you can lie in it, innit? And we knew, like when people were like, oh, maybe we'll get to a point where we'll just be able to kind of tiptoe back to the table. I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like I would be pretty petty if you had a whole referendum, lied to people prolifically, decided to stick two fingers up, which what was essentially the largest peace process. It was established post World War II to try to ensure that we never experience that sort of division, and Britain walked away. Yeah, well, ultimately, I think part of the reason I've been very depressed is because I am so aware of the fact that we in the West and in countries like Germany, the UK, you know, America, obviously, are gonna start reaping what has been sown.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's it was an absolutely awful thing, and you know, I am gonna want to be trying to get my German citizenship so that I'm still a member of the EU. But right now, they're changing the law in Germany so that citizens under 45 will have to declare if they're leaving the country for 3 months, just in case they need to be drafted in some kind of way. So there's that to be thinking about,
This
you
is
know?
what I'm saying, right? This is like, and if you're anything like me, who sometimes lays awake in the middle of the night wondering if you have lost your mind, maybe you just need to be sectioned or start fashioning, you know, the tinfoil hat milliners, right? Start just fashioning hats for yourself and all your friends from foil. I actually saw some podcasters the other day that have actually wear tinfoil hats in their
Can you
video
just
when they talk
pretend you
about.
haven't seen that so we can do it?
Yeah, okay. Let's just do that. Our first
Just edit
video
that bit
content.
out.
I want like little antennas on mine. I might put some like bedazzling on there, you know. Maybe I might do it in the cult. Maybe we'll have a hat competition.
Yeah, with big dangly ones, yeah.
And yeah, we'll see who can make the most creative and elaborate tinfoil hat.
That's such a good idea. Just imagine all of our faces on Zoom with our big oil
Do
hats.
you know what? I'm going to do it. I think that's exactly what we need right now. Maybe we'll do like an entry fee and then we'll donate it all to a good cause. So we'll have a little
Oh,
bit
I
of a
love
mutual aid
that.
element to it
Yeah.
as well. Like an Easter bonnet parade that doesn't forget that Jesus was Palestinian. Um,
So good. Yeah.
and you're only allowed to use tinfoil and other items that would be found around your house. So anyway, yeah, the Irish revival.
I'm just looking around the room and trying to work out what would be on top of my
You'd have an
tinfoil hat.
entire fucking black chandelier on your head.
Well, I've got a big crystal ball over there. I feel like that would have to be on the top of
Like
it.
as a centerpiece, you know, right in the middle of the forehead. And this is symbolic of my third eye. Um, oh, it feels good to laugh. It does feel good to laugh. We do hope that you're able to have a giggle with us today. But what else have you got, babe?
Um, Accepting help, and this is a new one for me
Oh shit.
because I this is something that I historically have been terrible at. But two people in my life have like really, really stepped up in the past few weeks where I was just like, um, you know, sort of blown away by the help that they offered. I mean, I'm trying to get some sort of ad accounts up and running. It's been a real nightmare. And Yasaman was like, look, I understand how difficult this is for you. Can I take over? And with everything that she's got going on, I was sort of inclined to say no. But Robbie was in the room when I was listening to the voice note and was like, "You should absolutely take that help." Because it's being offered and she wants to help. And then Jessamy was like, "I know that you've not really got the money to pay me right now. I will come and do a day's work and you can pay me later." Because I was completely overwhelmed. Everything's been too much financially with the house and everything else. And I did need that help and was so grateful to have it. And, of course I'm going to pay him later. I'm just not in the position to right now. So it's stuff like that that, firstly, I won't forget, but that I am getting better at saying yes to now because I am one person running this whole business that's growing really quickly. And it's not gonna continue to grow in this way if I carry on being the way that I am with not accepting help.
That's Yasaman, is your amazing queer Iranian fashion design friend who runs Blackwood Castle. So if you are looking to serve looks, you should not be sleeping on Blackwood Castle or Jessamy's brand, Lust Latex. So I'll pop some links in for both of them
Both
when
absolutely
we put the episode
incredible
up. Because
creators
friends of
and
Tommy,
people.
friends of mine, friends of the podcast, absolutely. But yeah, asking for help.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
three little
you with that,
words.
Hannah?
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, I say after like a week of being actively accepting help after a lifetime of not doing that.
Yeah, I obviously am also perhaps traditionally not great at accepting help, and that's because I am a control freak. And I find it very, very difficult to relinquish control because I hold other people to the impossibly high standards that I hold myself to. And part of the reason why I find it very difficult, especially when it's like friends or people offering to help out, is I'm a tyrant. I mean, you've been on the receiving end of this. I fired you from a job. Where were you? Right? Like I'm such a fucking bitch at times, and it's something that I am really aware of, and it causes me in terms of shadow work. Right? It's the number one thing where I have to try to keep practicing compassion towards myself because it's not necessarily my fault that I'm like this, but it's also my responsibility to make sure that my actions, my attitude don't cause harm. And I sometimes feel like the best way to do that is to just keep people at arm's length. But I also then create a load of overwhelm, which makes me even less nice to be around. And so the snake eats its tail, right? So I will take from that today a lovely nudge that I could absolutely do more in accepting help. Accepting help and asking for help are two different things, though.
Yeah, that's very true. Both of those things were offered to me. I didn't ask.
Right, because that's the thing. Yasman was like, do you know what? I can see that you need this. I can do this, and this is the way that it's going to happen. And you were like, absolutely, because I also see and know you and understand you as someone who obviously is just going to be able to take that and run with it. Similarly with Jessamy.Jessamy's like, I see what you need. I know how I can contribute, and so I'm just going to do that. And that's very different to being in a position where you're like, I know I need help. I don't really know where or how to begin figuring out what that looks like or how to necessarily kind of communicate that to someone else in a way that works, you know?
I completely understand the control freak element though, because I have it as well. Like there's been times where Jessamy's helping me, and I'll be like, and I'll just quickly show you how to set the eyelet, and he looks at me as if to say like, what are you talking about? Like, he's more qualified to be doing that than I am. And it's absolutely wild sometimes where somebody that has a whole latex business and is better at making and construction than me, I'm just like, okay, and then this is what I use to set the eyelet, and he's just like, I think I'll manage.
Yeah, I know. And that's that thing is that I don't think either of us would ever want to come across as patronizing or condescending. But I think you kind of have to know us kind of well or be pretty good friends with us for us to not be worried that it is the way that we are going to come over. So, but I do have help. I do have great help. My husband is an amazing help in my life, in my business. Kev works full time in the business as well. He's obviously, the driving force behind this happening weekly as well. I have Bex, shout out to Bex, community manager, cult auntie, helping in the Patreon, kind of keeping everybody organized in terms of what needs to be where and what's happening, and making sure that we're sending bunches of flowers and helping people feel held genuinely during these difficult times. We got Patricia, witch mother, amazing astrologer, working witch, contributing astrology content that is like, I mean, it's revolutionary astrology.
Oh, it's been fire recently what Patricia's been doing.
Right? It comes with journaling prompts. It comes with your role in the revolution and based on your level of capacity. These are all things that Patricia has just brought to the table without having to be asked. Elle Bauer Johnston, can we get a shout out for Elle? You and I have both worked with Elle doing kind of somatic work, breath work, body work. And I brought Elle in to run a session in the cult. And that's someone who, again, it just ticks over. It's just like, hey, here's the link. That whole absolute minimal effort from you because I've just so got this. I do have those people in and around my business. I do, but it takes a long time to cultivate that level of trust.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm also extremely lucky to have Yasmin, who is the Palestinian woman behind the postage in my business and the person that I would be completely lost without. She, within a couple of weeks of starting and getting to grips with how to do the postage, was already finding ways that I could be doing it better, companies that would make it cheaper, boxes that would, I was sending in ugly DHL yellow boxes before Yasmin, and she sourced all the different sizes in black, just above and beyond always. And I just feel so blessed to have her.
I mean, that's the thing, right? If I had to put something on my list that quite often boils my piss, it's just a lack of initiative, right? It's like, I don't want to micromanage anybody. I don't want to be like, okay, like you said, okay, and now you put it in the box, and then you have to close the box, and then obviously you have to, right? It's like, it's just, so when people could just be like, okay, I see this, I'm just going to fucking do it, and that trust is there for you to just be able to absolutely take it and run with it. It is just invaluable. So, but also congrats on the acceptance. Help, because I love that for you.
I agree with you. At the moment that I feel like I'm doing any kind of level of babying or hand holding, I just want to do it myself.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. You're a Sagittarius, I'm a Leo. We don't have time for this. Right? Okay. Civil disobedience.
Yes, I'm all about
Civil disobedience gives me life, right? Good old-fashioned disobedience as well. I mean, right? I'm going to talk about keeping it civil, which generally means peaceful, but I do believe we have surpassed that point. But in terms of civil disobedience, a refusal by a citizen or citizens to comply with the law for moral reasons. And we obviously have innumerable points in time and history where we can look at the power of the people taking a stand against law. The forced segregation in America and the sit-ins and the diner sit-ins, the not giving up the seat on the fucking bus. This is what the law says you must do, but I say no, and I say no for moral reasons. So Amnesty International actually have a toolkit on their website for civil disobedience and engaging with meaningful civil disobedience. So I'm absolutely going to link it in the show notes. But obviously some of the ways that we can kind of engage in civil disobedience, marching, right? Protests. But for it to be civil disobedience, it needs to be without permits. And I think, it's like the No Kings protests in America. When you really dive into those that organize it, who they organize it in collaboration with, the amount of money that is being made. I personally feel that if your protest is adhering to a police cordon and has been approved by the system, it's not a protest, it's a parade, right? It's not civil disobedience if there's no disobedience, because you are in fact all doing exactly what you've been told to do at the allocated time and in the allocated place. One of the most striking images for me from the No Kings movement that somebody posted was a picture of the White House with millions of people gathered in front of the White House, and somebody just circled it with like, the king and the castle is right here.
Mm,
It's right
mm-mm.
here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Why aren't we doing anything?
It's right here. There are millions of you on the street. You are gathered. It is right there. Like, so I do think we're going to have to see that tipping point. And I know this is a topic that becomes very, very divisive in terms of what people are and are not comfortable with. But Palestinians have the right to resist, and so do we. And I don't think in a violent system you are going to have anything that looks like meaningful resistance without talking about the need for violence. And again, I know that this is the kind of thing that's absolutely going to kick off in the comments. Please do. You can let us know absolutely what you think. But, coming back to civil disobedience as a term states that your march is a march without permit. We are organizing and mobilizing without fucking permission. Otherwise, it's not a protest.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
I said it. I've needed to get one off my chest. I haven't banged on about it because I do believe people using what capacity they have to get on the street, getting on the street in a way that means they meet organizers, people who have been on the front lines for fucking years, people connecting in solidarity and also creating and experiencing joy, right? The creativity and the solidarity that goes into something like making signs. I do think it's significant that they had the most people on the street ever during the last No Kings protest. It does send a message, but I think we're so past sending a message because it's clear that they hear and they don't care.
Isn't the guy that organized it a Zionist as well?
Yeah. From the research that I have done, someone where it's incredibly shady, especially in terms of, like I said, the associations that they have, the organizations that they work in coalition with, and the amount of money that is being made and where it's being funneled as a direct result. So
That's the thing, though. We need to start having conversations about who people are taking money from. Politicians taking APAC money is not acceptable, and we have to vote showing that that is not acceptable. If you are taking APAC money, you are biased and will not be able to speak up about genocide.
why do we have a prime minister in the UK that belongs to a group called Labour Friends of Israel? Who most of the Labour backbenchers, David Lammy, has taken money from. We're like, how is that even being allowed to happen? I don't think people are aware that it's happening in a country like the UK, and the amount of vested interest there is from other countries and other big companies and organisations, and it is just going to boil your blood.
You know that the Greens are topping the polls right now, right?
They are. I sometimes, in the midst of my despair, remember that a gay Jewish man is currently taking a run at the top seat in a way that truly does terrify the British establishment. Right? Seeing the Green Party make meaningful strides and take such big swings, and to do it in a way where they are just like, do you know what? This is just the era of no bullshit politics. This is the era of saying Palestine has every right to resist and it should be established as its own state, and that is something that we were absolutely going to stand on. What I love about Zach Polanski is there's no flip-flopping. I think Corbyn was even guilty of this, of just give a clear, direct, straight to the point answer. Let people know what it is that you are really about and what it is that you really stand for. And it could harm you, but it could also do what it's doing for the Greens right now.
Yeah, but I think people are really, really fed up of the two-party system. But I mean, I think the great thing about Zach is he's also just a wonderful speaker. He interviews so well, and so does Hannah as well. She is amazing
Yeah.
as
But have
well.
you noticed it's because they're so comfortable with breaking the social contract? They're people who they come from kind of more working class backgrounds. They have got their finger more on the pulse of the needs of the people in their constituencies. It's kind of, and so the reason he speaks well is because he speaks like a human. Because at some point, politicians decided to stop being humans and they just became these suits. Look at Starmer. Like I've said, he's dead. He's literally dead behind the eyes. You don't get any sense of personality. And it's got to be about policy and not personality. But I think just being able to say, yeah, this is who I am, confidently and with conviction, is what it is that's just so attractive about them at the moment. Absolutely.
It's kind of like the Mamdani effect, isn't it? Where people were so fed up, and then somebody came along and said, these are the things that I'm going to change. This is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to do. And people bought it because it was genuine.
And he is actually doing it. I know he gets a lot of stick, and I know I'm very often on team. I don't fucking trust any of them. They're all lizards, right? But I've actually watched him take a severe dressing down from a pro-Palestinian protester saying you need to continue to speak truth to power and make it very clear where you stand on Israel, my guy, because that's the platform that we elected you on. And he stood there, head bowed, and he took it. He just took it. He didn't do a Kamala Harris, shut up, I'm talking, right?
Yeah.
He took it because he knew. And in terms of actually looking at what he is doing for housing, access to healthcare, big moves being made, sitting in the right rooms with the right people, actually giving a shit. So, I think we can take a little light today as well from those that we can see trying to move the needle even a little bit out there at the moment. But yeah, civil disobedience, obviously, as I said, marching without permits. There can be 6 of you, right? The next day there might be 8, and then there could be 10, right? And even if there's only ever 10, there's 10 of you who can say that you didn't entirely sell your soul. So getting on the street, I think, still really, really means something. Sit-ins. There were sit-ins at the university in Belfast for Palestine when I was there. You know, we've seen people closing down supermarkets that are still selling Israeli products. I personally think we could really up the ante when it comes to sit-ins.
How much have you watched about the ACT UP movement in New York over AIDS? Do you know much about that?
Yes. Amazingly inspiring.
The die-in that they had in the Catholic Church because the Pope was saying that using protection condoms at a time when there was, in the beginning of the AIDS crisis was ungodly. So they went to the Catholic Church and were screaming, you're killing us," and were lying down in the pews. It just makes me misty-eyed talking about it. It was just such an effective act, the way that they did that. They shut down the whole service.
And we're still talking about it now. It was effective then, and it is still effective now because there's these reverberations from that courage, right, that can really reach to where we are at right now. And we see people staging sit-ins because we are all disgusted, especially in the UK, by watching the police arresting pensioners. So my question is, why are more able-bodied people not out there at the sit-in as well? And I know it's because we then worry about the knock-on effect in terms of our economic security. We're not going to have security or stability resembling anything like that which we have known or our parents known if we allow this to continue. You know, like, I'm as guilty of this as everyone, and I think it's the thing that really keeps me up at night. We have to do more, and something as simple as I shall not be moved. And if you need to come and nick me, and then I will be a person clogging up the system that will not cope under the strain of enough of us deciding to do the same thing. Hunger strikes. The hunger strikers, the Irish Republican hunger strikers who died in Belfast, in the north of Ireland. It was Bobby Sands who said they tried to bury us, but they did not know that we were seeds, and also said our revenge will be the laughter of our children. And when I say, the Irish re-revival and people really waking up to the incredible resistance of the language and the culture, it was, when I say hard won, the British establishment let people die in British jails who were simply making a stand for their right to their autonomy and their freedom. So I know there's been a lot of hunger strikes from the people who were arrested in the UK protesting for Palestine. We were deeply, deeply worried about their well-being and the way that they were being treated by the legal system, and that is ongoing. We'd be shit at a hunger strike though, babe, wouldn't we?
Wouldn't be able to do that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's... we'd be like, but could I just have a little something? Could I have a little... I'm absolutely on strike, but could maybe just one Malteser? Could I just suck the chocolate off a Malteser and then I'll get right back on it? But labour strikes, organised labour strikes, fighting for rights, fighting for better pay in the midst of a cost of living crisis, tax refusal, making street art, the shirts we wear, just solidarity. just being willing to be someone who has got those signs of solidarity that lets other people that they know that they are not alone in the midst of it all right now. So yeah, you can tell this is something that always lights me up, is some good old fashioned fucking civil disobedience, or some uncivil disobedience, if it necessary, and it so is at this point.
100%. So yours have been quite sort of serious and political, and I feel like mine are all a little bit light in comparison.
No, we need that though, right? It's because
Okay.
I literally just couldn't do it. I was like, I have actually got my next one. Probably my next ones are a lot lighter, by the
Okay,
way.
my next two are pretty light. So the next one I've got is handmade gifts.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That is a thing that just really, I like. If somebody gives me a handmade gift, that just really touches my heart. Like, do you remember when you gave me that? Hannah bought this Victorian photo album and filled it with pictures of me, pictures of us, pictures of like people that had worn my stuff. Just like it was like it was like that TV show, This Is Your Life, but in a beautifully curated um, Victorian photo book with all like gold embossing and stuff. And like that's one of the most beautiful gifts anyone has ever given me.
Babe, honestly, I worried so much that was one of the creepiest things I'd ever done. Like I because basically what happened was I found the album
Right.
and it was full of photos. And I knew I wanted to give the photos to Robbie because you two have the best collection of like, those old Victorian kind of pictures. But I was like, but also this album is beautiful. It's so kind of like goth. And I was like, well, let's just make a lookbook. Let's take Tommy's moments and some shots of you and your mates, and I'll put it together and gift it to you. But even as I was giving it to you, I was like, is me printing out a whole heap of pictures of you and putting them in a little
No,
bit
I loved
weird?
it
So I do
so
love that you loved
much.
it. I love that you
Yeah,
loved it. I just wanted you to always be able to take that down from a shelf one day and remember just how fucking fabulous you are and how much so many people love you.
it definitely did that. It was such a beautiful gift, and I treasure it. And I mean, another one on my birthday, Jessamy made me one of those like portable altars. He made it out of latex, and it had all my symbols on it. It had pan on it, it had oak leaves on it. And it's just like it's one of those things that's on my altar. I just treasure it so much because he made it. So yeah, handmade gift for me, it's like can't do better.
I honestly feel like the universe delivered Jessamy to you as I left.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Right? Because I broke the only thing I really broke my heart about leaving Berlin. I was so ready to go was obviously you and not being able to take you for a donut or sit and put the world to rights or and then Jessamy, I used to drive a hearse and run this incredible latex business and so understand your business and what's required from you and like just rolls up in Berlin, and you two, I just delighted for you, and obviously Yasman as well, and the fact that Yasman is someone who absolutely gets it 100% in terms of all of the demands that are on you and nature of the business that you run and everything. I'm delighted,
Yeah,
absolutely
no,
delighted.
it's
But
it's
that all
definitely been good for me to have friends in fashion because before those two I didn't really have that. And it is a very specific kind of life running a fashion business and being able to talk to other people about that because, you know, Jessamy obviously understands the production side of things. He also makes his products. Yasaman has hers produced, which is an area I want to step into a little bit more. She's also just an absolute marketing genius and has been able to help me with so many things that I didn't understand before. Um, so yeah, aside from just being amazing friends and people I can talk to about anything.
I mean, in terms of handmade gifts, I broke the frame. It fell off the wall. But behind me in my office here is a picture of the lover's card that your mum drew. And it's an artwork of the Pamela Coleman Smith Lovers illustration that your mum gifted to Kev and I for our wedding. And it's one of my most prized possessions. I just love it. And I mean, I am also someone who, when it comes to handmade gifts, I have the most phenomenal clients. Like the people, they're not clients anymore. They become people that I'm just so delighted to be connected with. So even this week, there's this amazing woman, Anne Marie, AMS Divine Designs. People are like, could I send you something? And I'm always a bit like, oh. Um, But yeah, go on then. And I got this post all the way from the US of A, and Amory has made this incredible necklace for me, all beadwork with copper and different stones. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to put it online and kind of show off a little bit. And I'm just like, it's so meaningful when people connect with what you do enough that they want to send you anything, let alone, as you said, when it's that handmade. I've had people knit me things. I've got more
Well,
than
what have
one.
they knitted you?
I've got a beanie that was knitted for me by someone that I met when I read cards in New York. I've got an entire like soft night snood moment that was left in on the door handle of my office in Belfast. Like I just, yeah, I'm blown away by, you know, when people make and create things and are like, I'd really love for Cult Mother to have this. And most of the cabinet that is behind me in my studio here is full of postcards, letters, decks, you know, or other bits and pieces that people have made. But in terms
Oh,
of
I absolutely love that. Yeah.
handmade gifts, I sent my brother this week. I was making some like little talismans out of air dry clay, you know, like you do when you're in the middle of a mentee bee. And I'm really into hawthorn and the symbolism behind the hawthorn, especially in Ireland and Irish mythology. It's very much to do with protection and it being the gateway to the other realm and the fairy world and everything. But anyway, I broke a bit of hawthorn off and pressed it into just a little bit of air dry clay, as like a little totem or talisman just to pop on an altar. And I actually sent one to my brother and was like, this is a bit of hawthorn from here in Ireland. This is the symbolism. It's for your protection. And then when he sent a photo of it, just a bit of twig shoved in some clay, but actually sat on his kind of altar where he has his incense and photos and candles and things. That's more meaningful for me than any old shit I could buy online and have sent to the house right now. So I think, especially in the midst of where we're all at with the over consumerism and the capitalism of it all, handmade gifts. God, I wish I'd thought of that one. That's gorgeous.
What have you got next then, Hannah?
Video games.
Oh, that's a good one for
Yeah,
you.
video games, right? So when I think about it, I think there's a lot of me that's reconnecting with kind of who I was as a kid and a teenager. And I remember buying my first copy of Pokemon for the Game Boy off some lad at school, and you know, it feeling like a clandestine exchange as I met up with him after class to get this yellow cartridge with a Pikachu on the back. So I am absolutely not ashamed at this point in my adult life to admit that I play a lot of video games, and it might be my second favorite way to dissociate, because I'm going to talk about that next. But I mean, I have played a game called Cult of the Lamb, where you are a little lamb and you are possessed and you have to go around collecting tarot cards and making sigils and doing rituals and basically garnering cult members and building little houses for them and then doing like dungeon crawler style missions. So as you could imagine, that was the game where I was like, do you know what? That looks such a bit of me. I run a cult. I know a little something about occult magic, right? Like, I think I think that's the game that kind of got me on the Nintendo Switch a couple of years ago, and ever since then, I mean, Tetris.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Tommy's like, I can't relate. I have no idea. This is
Yeah,
not
no,
appeal to me in the
Jessamy
slightest.
Jessamy spends a lot of time talking to me about video games as well, and I'm like, I love that for you. I can't personally relate, but you know, I've also never really tried.
Yeah, because here's the thing. What's happened or has emerged a lot recently is what we call cozy gaming. Nobody needs to be blowing anything up. Nobody needs to be running anybody over in their car. Like, you and I grew up in the kind of Grand Theft Auto, Tekken,
That's what I think
right?
of when I
Like,
think video games and people like lots
exactly.
of guns and stuff like that, and I couldn't be less interested. But what you're
No,
describing is bad.
couldn't do it. Like, Kev and I tried to watch the new Peaky Blinders the other day, and there was a large explosion in about the first
Mm.
2 minutes, and I had to turn it off. I can't do it. So in the games that I play, I'm planting seeds. and growing cabbages. And then I'm taking my cabbages and selling my cabbages so I can get money to buy chickens, right? And then when I have chickens, I get to gather eggs so I can learn how to make an omelette. And in my favorite game I want to mention to anyone who's thinking about dipping a toe into cozy gaming, Stardew Valley. So the premise of Stardew Valley is that you inherit a little wooden cabin and a decrepit farm from your granddad, and you see it as an opportunity to leave your stifling 60 plus hour a week office job. And so you head off to Stardew Valley, where you have to run your little farm and you have to do all sorts of tasks and missions, but one of them is rebuilding the community center. And I think you can play Stardew Valley in a whole heap of different places. You can play it on mobile. It was Kev that put me onto it initially, but you have to build relationships with the other people in the town by figuring out what their favorite things are and gifting them to them. And it's just so wholesome. And I just think we need that these days, you know? So for me, absolutely on my love and light list, if we're calling it that, cozy video games, the curl up on the couch, disappear for a couple of hours. I played a game called Witchwood that I completed in about 15 hours, where I was like, women wrote this, right? Like, absolutely, we had women developers and storytellers here. Because, I mean, at one point, you have to go out and try and kill the big bad wolf because he's preying on local women and girls, and just kind of like, and I was immersed in it. And I think anything that we can become fully immersed in, that, you know, again, just engages us with narrative and storytelling, and I so I'm a big fan of the kind of emerging elder millennial cozy gaming phenomena.
So cozy video games and cozy lesbians is where we're going.
Yes!
Yeah.
Playing cozy video games with cozy lesbians while planning some civil disobedience, making each other handmade gifts and speaking Irish to one another.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. And that's a party I want to be invited to.
While fucking swearing all the time.
So my last one is my tagged pictures on Instagram.
Oh, yes. I cannot fucking imagine how much life that must give you.
Waking up pretty much every day and there being some beautiful goth person wearing my pieces, talking about my pieces, looking gorgeous, all body shapes, all different genders, all types of people wearing my pieces. Like, that is something that just I will never get tired of. That, you know, like, I think I've been doing this for a really long time now. There are plenty of things that I am tired of, but that is the thing that keeps me going and keeps me loving it, because the idea that I could make something that makes somebody feel a certain type of way about themselves, makes them feel themselves, like, that is what it was always about. That's what it is always going to be about. And I'm so proud that I get to make people feel that way.
And let's face it, they are stunning.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, obviously, you've just got such a strong aesthetic and story and in everything that you do, but the way that that's taken and translated in so many different ways, and so many different, you know, because goth, as we've talked about before, is subculture that has so many different branches. There's so many different ways that people can style your pieces, and I'm always so stunned. I mean, Ali Mayhem.
Oh my God, we love Ali.
Can I get an amen for Ali Mayhem? Like, just you know, the people that maybe I've come into contact with or started paying attention to because they've been styling and wearing your pieces, and just, you know, it's the glam, it's the creativity, it's the diversity, you know, and I needed this reminder today, because I also, obviously, I love it when people send an email post class or, you know, comments in the Patreon, but I have a real tendency to hone in on the negative.
Same.
And to then not remember or pay attention to that bigger picture in terms of what the mission was, what I wanted to set out to do, and the fact that I've absolutely done that. I've done that. I have every reason to actually be kind of phenomenally proud of myself. But Kev pointed it out to me, where I was chewing on when people leave Patreon, they do like exit surveys. And most of the time, like I said, it's people's financial situation have changed. They just didn't use it as much as possible. And I kind of make a point of not looking at them because I know not to kind of take it personally. But I made the mistake of looking at it the other day. And someone was like, oh, I just didn't like any of the benefits. And I literally, I think it really tanked my mood. I found myself feeling really anxious. I was just like, and Kev had to be like in a sea of people who were so appreciative. They're literally hand making you jewelry with so much meaning actually woven into it and shipping it to you at great expense to themselves from the States. You're focused on one person who couldn't be asked to continue to give you like £3 a month. um
Yeah,
but
yeah, no,
that's who
yeah.
I am.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, I had like a really snotty email the other day from somebody who had actually just ordered the wrong thing. They ordered it in silver when actually they wanted it in gold, and then proceeded to tell me that if I didn't change it, they would do a chargeback, so threatening me with, like financial issues and stuff like that. And I was so upset and so angry about this. But then I sometimes just have to be like, but 99.999% of your customers, they pay and then they do a professional photo shoot because they love the piece so much.
Exactly,
And that is what it's
exactly.
all about. So sometimes it's so easy to just focus on the people that are negative, have had some sort of negative experience with you, despite the fact that you've done everything you can to make it as good of an experience as possible. And
Yeah, but it's wild, isn't it? We've obviously talked about this sort of thing a lot, but I'm sure it's something people listen to can maybe relate to. It's odd, isn't it? But maybe it's good. Maybe it's what keeps you humble. Maybe I would be sycophantic if I lived in a call of gratuitous praise. The fact that if that one person, for any reason was bothered, it will bother me. I think probably makes us good at what it is that we do as well. You know. But it's tough out there at the moment because I feel that people are not okay. They might not be fully connecting the dots at the moment because of how tough that is, as modelled by us, your hosts. And they're taking it out on each other and in the wrong places and the wrong spaces a lot.
yeah, yeah, no, completely, completely. And it's just things like that where it's like, I think sometimes people are so used to the Amazon model of being able to order it.
Mm,
If they don't like it, they've got a print out label that they can just send it back if the size is wrong. When it's like, no, actually, you've ordered a custom made to measure piece from one person. See, look, I'm already having a bitch, but what I'm trying to talk about is all the wonderful people that are
yeah.
so supportive of me and my business and that take these beautiful pictures and make me so happy. So I'll just leave it there.
Like I said, I needed the nudge to be reminded that people go out of their way. Look, I have an incredible right here, like a handwritten letter on my desk. People really are amazing, and I feel so seen and so supported and so held. And that this can be a note for us both to just not let the bastards grind us down. Um, because I'm 99% sure if you didn't like what I was doing, it's because you're probably just a Zionist or a transphobe that got pissed off that we are not going to call that shit out in my community and in my online space, right? If you didn't like it, I don't care because I like it. I liked it a lot yesterday when I could get in a room full of people crying, laughing, and talking about how important it is to not feel isolated or alone right now because we all feel like the mood hoover in the room. What did you say? The skunk at the garden party?
That unfortunately isn't mine. That is actually from the I've Had It podcast.
Why are I was going to say, could we just call our podcast Skunks at the Garden Party? But,
I mean, I don't know if that's something that more people say, because the other thing that they keep saying that really got me, which apparently is an American thing, is the idea of lollygagging. Do you know what that is?
lollygagging. Isn't that just like lounging about, lollygagging?
Being unnecessarily slow, or, like you could say somebody was like, Jennifer was bitching about how people can be like phone lollygaggers, like that won't let you get off the phone. Like, and another thing, like lollygagging, which I just love. That there's just been some things I've heard on there where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going on about that bloody podcast again.
No, well, look, in terms of things that have created a bit of light, I know that
Yeah,
I've had
exactly.
it for you has been huge, and we're more than happy to recommend other people and other podcasts and things that people can connect with and listen to. Uh, you know, okay, last one from me then.
Okay.
Thrifting.
That was going to go on mine. That was on mine, and then I moved it because I knew that you were going to do it.
Right, so thrifting. I was going to just say charity shops, but charity shops is not necessarily universal. That's very UK. The idea of a shit shop full of various bric-a-brac and secondhand clothing and books and DVDs or whatever, and it's generally a thrift store in the States, I guess. So thrifting, secondhand, car boots, flea markets, whatever it may be. I love crap.
I just like going through somebody's like right load of old shit. Love it.
Just a load of old trinkets and gubbins and whatnots.
Who's its and what's its galore.
I'm so tired. I nearly burst into a Mary Poppins song. Then,
it's
just
a
be
Little
relieved.
Mermaid.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing. Sorry, listener. Kev, cut that out.
Nope.
Anyway, so thrifting, it's a similar thing to beachcombing for me. You're not looking for anything specific. The simple act of occupying the monkey mind, putting the madness somewhere for a minute. There's nothing like getting a coffee, pulling up to a big old thrift store and knowing that you are about to lose a couple of hours of your life rifling the rails, looking for the vintage, running towards the orange melamine, should it be. I've got a big thing for mid-century modern, like 1970s, like home and design stuff. As you know, it's why I'm devastated you're ripping the tiles out of your mid-century bathroom, the brown and turquoise tiles. But yeah, for me, ever since I was a kid, having 50p at a car boot sale and being allowed to run riot, that was freedom for me. And there are pieces, there are things that I have found that are truly precious to me. Like I am truly a poster person for one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, I have always been big into it since I was a kid. Like, I mean, when we were younger, there were jumble sales, and I used to just get the paper, go to all the jumble sales. I used to buy up loads of pairs of like old Levi's jeans. I would bleach them and sell them to skinheads on eBay. I must have been like 14. And then that entrepreneurial thing was just there ever since. Did I ever tell you about the adult baby business? Have I told you about that?
I'm going to need to hear that right now while you have a microphone in front of you, though.
So the first house that I lived in when I left home was with like 5 other sort of punks and goths, right? And we arrived, and sort of within the first week, we got this massive box delivered, and like, what is all this? And there were all these sort of like incontinence nappies for people that are incontinent. And I guess that the people that lived there before us were, elderly or suffered from incontinence, whatever. And I just made an eBay account and started selling them to adult babies because we were just getting these delivered like every other week. And I set up this whole like eBay business being like, for messy babies and I like, honestly, looking back, like I nailed it on the marketing. And like, bear in mind, we were all just like professional laminators at that point, and we're just, getting twisted every weekend. And then sometimes the babies would come and collect the nappies from the house.
My God, it was a different time. It truly was.
It was. So we'd be still completely off our nuts answering the door to give the packages of nappies to the adult babies who were arriving. And then like my housemate at the time, Jo, she started doing it as well, and there was like a little bit of sort of rivalry there because she was like undercutting me. Like a little bit of beef in the house over the competing adult baby businesses on eBay.
We are nothing if not entrepreneurial, babes, right?
Yeah.
Of all the things that can be said, because I'm the same. I think that first thrill I got, I was a kid, and there was like a little junky antique shop in the village where my nan lived, and I took something I think I'd bought maybe in Burley Street, actually, where you've been with all the witches. And,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And yeah. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I took it to the woman who ran this antique shop and was like, well, do you just want to buy this off me? And she was like, yeah, I do. And I think I bought it for like £7, and she gave me 15 quid for it. And I was like, this is it. This is the greatest thrill of my life. And then I learned a very hard lesson because I spent the 15 quid on some shitty silver spoon or something, and then took it back and was like, do you want to buy this? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh. It was like my first foray into like flipping or like, but yeah, for me, it's not even the buy it to sell it. It's just the idea, I think, with this is also that we have enough stuff. We have enough stuff. When I heard that fact that we have enough clothing to clothe the next 4 generations without ever manufacturing another thread, I was just like, and for me as well, I think, you know, a lot of vintage, especially in terms of like homeware and stuff like that, it was all just so much better made. Like the shelving system I have in my office is from the 1960s. It has lasted that long. It will last that long again. It will do 3, 4, 5 times the lifespan of an IKEA shelving unit. You know, so that the second-hand economy is something that I just fucking love. It's like the Zum boxes, the for free boxes in Berlin.
Yeah. Having a good old rip through those.
There's a real system of, if I don't need this, I'm not just gonna bin it, or like I'm gonna put it for free and you can take it. And I just think that we all need to, like, I don't understand the stigma that people have of like, ew. I get you don't want to wear someone else's undies. Like I'm not looking for my grundies at the car boot. But like jackets, coats, like I you know, bags, all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, I'd rather have something a little different that you might not have seen before. That's remarkable quality than whatever fucking shit sacks on the rack at fucking M&S this month. You know?
Completely. I mean, I think Berlin is really good for that. I mean, we have a bit of a culture for it, and there's this one Carl's Horse, which is like, it's like on a horse racing track, and it's completely taken over. I took Hannah, and we found that 1920s Dior mannequin head, which was
the gay gasp, of the Karlshorst mannequin head. It reverberated through time and space. So when we went to this giant outdoor mid-century kind of like flow market, you were specifically looking things to furnish the studio, right?
Yeah.
And we debated over whether or not we wanted to pay like €1 to go into the like slightly more bougie and curated like inside bit.
Because usually it's a bit rubbish. It's usually not that much there that I'm very interested in.
Just a lot of teak, a lot of furniture, lamps, rugs, that sort of, you know, stuff. You know, right up my street. I was up to see it, but you were a bit like, oh, I don't know. But we did go in there, and I wasn't looking at you until I literally heard. And as I was like, whoa, my God. And as I turned to look, you were literally on tiptoes, fixated, pointing, barely able to breathe. And I was like, way to go playing it cool with the dealer, though, you know, like.
Yeah.
But it's because you had spotted, is it Christian Dior?
It's Dior mannequin head from the 40s.
Oh,
it's
and she is. Yeah, it is antique.
Possessions.
It is, yeah. And I it wasn't a shit ton of money, was it? You were delighted to get it at the price
they go
that
for
you
about
did.
500 online, and I think they wanted about 200 for it. I think they asked for 50, I got it for 200, something like that. So it was a great deal.
At that point, we'd already found a couple of other mannequin heads and a torso, and so as we left the racetrack, I think you were obviously like really coddling this Christian Dior stunning kind of advertising mannequin kind of head face with the beak, absolutely gorgeous. And then I was also dragging body parts and heads, and that's just who we are. That's who we are.
Yeah. There's another one you can get that I've got my eyes on that like has a hole in it for a cigarette, and I want that so badly.
Oh my God, get out. That is so good. You and smoking.
Yeah. Seriously, I just outed myself as some kind of smoking fetishist on the pod.
I just want to give a quick mention for Vinted. Obviously, we're not sponsored. Keep signing up to the Patreon. Because I don't have a whole heap of thrift stores to frequent living here. But Vinted is like a forever open, 24 hours a day, scroll through your life cornucopia of other people's crap.
Yeah, that's dangerous, that is.
Yeah. Our postman must hate me.
Oh, same.
Because I am that person. If I see it and it's £3 and I don't need it, I'm still probably going to buy it. But yeah, Vinted has become a really big outlet for me in terms of not necessarily needing to spend any money, but just seeing the continual array of other people's crap. So that was the struggle bus, but I think we managed to ride it all the
I
way
think
home.
we did all right.
I
Yeah.
think we did all right. Thanks for riding the struggle bus with us today, listeners. I'm still not feeling up to much. Tommy's dealing with a laptop that looks more like a toilet.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a call with Pinterest tonight. I've got a lot going on, lots of admin to get done, plenty to do. Today's my office day, which means that I've got another 5 days this week.
I am so in awe of your self-discipline right now. I actually don't know how you do it.
Do you know? I'll tell you how I do it. What you were talking about being horrendously depressed about the state of the world, I am as well, but I'm not when I'm overworking because I have to focus on something else. That's why.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a heads up that as a strategy, that might not be sustainable. As someone who absolutely has experience of that particular rodeo, who now can't mount the horse, who was flung off quite far and is still trying to pick themselves up, just go steady. Just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
steady.
for sure. But also, Wave Gothic Treffen is in like 5 weeks or something.
No, I know, and you're going to absolutely crush it. And are you going to have a little break if you got a little holiday or something planned for post VGT? Or are you going to be ploughing into the next project? Fuck it, we ball.
Right now, obviously, Robbie is in the house all the time, like stripping walls,
Oh my god, you're going to renovate an entire house.
and I'm gonna get back, and like I won't have the same excuse that I have had with VGT. So like, I'm gonna have to be in the house. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah. Um, no judgment. We're all doing whatever we can in the day that we're in, and if we want to channel it and focus it into getting shit done, I love that. I just wish I had the ability to do that at the moment. I've got all sorts piling up. There's all sorts of things I'd love to be working on, but I'll be completely honest. I'm probably going to try and take a shower and then go back to bed. So again, massive shout out to everyone giving us their support on Patreon. Do get signed up there so you know when we drop new episodes. You can also listen on YouTube, and if you can click the old like and subscribe, it would help us to begin trying to kind of monetize YouTube. I think we need about 3 million views or something, Tommy, so we might have a little bit of work to do yet.
We'll get there.
But
Not worried at all.
it's not really the goal or the aim, though. That's what I find really nice about this, right? Is not having like we need. I looking at the listener numbers or who listened to what and where are they. I mean, I know Kev's really predominantly paying attention to that stuff for us, but like, if one person has listened to this today, if we have raised a giggle or even a smile, even, given someone a little opportunity for someone to relate and feel a little bit less alone, then I am fucking delighted and will continue to do this for as long as we can.
Completely agree. Completely agree. And it's just, like we're having these conversations on the phone anyway. So I like the idea that people get to listen into them.
Exactly. We have always been very mission oriented people. I think without that at the core of what we do, it doesn't hold our attention. And I feel like the part of the reason I'm so beside myself a lot at the moment is because I'm so aware of the fact I cannot be the only person. Especially when it comes to perimenopause. Can I get an amen for anyone out there? From anyone out there with a uterus? Like, the shit has just hit the fan in such a multitude of different ways, and I'm still so aware of how lucky I am and how privileged I am in the midst of that. And there are so many people in such a tougher situation, and I just please feel a little bit held and a little bit seen, a little bit supported by us today, please.
Yeah.
All right then, darling. Well, I'm going to release you back into the wild from whence you came to get all that lovely admin done.
Release the bat.
And I think next week we should do some more agony uncling, some gunkling.
I love that. Okay, so we are calling on our listeners again to submit their questions.
Dear listener, we'll put a post up in the Patreon, but you could also use the DMs on our Instagram. It's Tommy and Hannah Pod. Reach out. Let us know. Do you have a query, a question, a little insight that you might need from us in terms of where you are at? Please spill the tea. Give us your gossip. Let us know what shenanigans you are involved in out there at the moment so I can live vicariously through you.
Yeah, give us the goss.
we'd love your questions. We'd love your queries. If there's anything you're sat with, if you feel the need to just kind of unburden, if you just want to share, if you just want to give it some space, use the DMs, use the comments, and we'll be doing the Agony Uncle thing again next week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.